Folks, we've done it. We've made it. We are finally at the last bracket for Pokemarch Madness Season 3. And let me tell you, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. It's a groundbreaking bracket, in fact. Never before seen. It's gonna flip the whole world on its head. But before we jump into it, friends of the channel, Josh and Reese, doing these as well. You should go check them out. Links in the description. But with that, I think I've built up the suspense enough. Are you ready for the final bracket of Pokemarch Madness? Here we go. Welcome to the PokeDads bracket. Now let me tell you, this is gonna be one of the toughest brackets. It's a star-studded lineup from top to bottom. Let's take some time and go through and check out our 8 wonderful candidates. First off, we got Norman from Gen 3. Second off, we have Norman, who is actually from Gen 3. If you didn't know. Third, we have Norman, who appears in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Fourth, we have Norman, who is from the third, what would you call it? Not a lineage. The third group of games that they released. I can't think of the word, sorry. If we jump over here to the other side, we have Norman, who is actually from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. A lot of people don't actually know that. Kind of a hidden character, if you will. And after that, we have Norman, who actually comes from the 6th generation of games. Not the main games from the 6th generation, the remakes that came with the 6th generation. Oh gosh, I gotta come up with 2 more of these. Next up, we have Norman, who came out in the generation that was released around I think it was 2003. The Game Boy Advance generation. That's the one Norman's from. And finally, we have Norman, who actually is a character I'm not very familiar with. I don't actually know what game he comes from, but when I looked up Pokemon Dads, he came up, so I just threw him in the list. Well, now that we've taken a look at our fine competitors, let's go ahead and jump on in. First matchup, Norman versus Norman. So Norman is an interesting one. You actually see him at the beginning of your game, when you're playing. He actually helps out an individual named Wally, and Wally ends up becoming your rival later on. But he helps out Wally by lending Wally a Pokemon, which is just nice. That's a big dad. That's a big dad move right there. That's a big dad move. So good on you, Norman. And then we also have Norman, who is actually a normal type Pokemon trainer, which is pretty cool. There's some cool normal types in Gen Hoenn. So tough decision to be made here. But I think I'm gonna go with, he lends a Pokemon. That's a pretty dad thing to do, so I'm gonna have to give this round to Norman. Sorry, Norman. Next up, Norman versus Norman. So interestingly enough, he's a gym leader. Very interesting to make your own father a gym leader. That's pretty cool. As well, we have Norman, who his sort of main defining characteristic, from what I recall, is he's very obsessed with giving Pokemon drugs. Is very weird, very strange. He's very obsessed with Pokemon sort of steroids and whatnot. All these X items, juicing up your Mon before the big fight. I don't know if I can support that. So I'm gonna have to give this one to Norman. Moving on to our other half. Norman versus Norman. Oh, hello, Rex. You're not Norman. Say hello, buddy. Hello. So this is actually an interesting matchup. Norman, he actually moved to Hoenn before you and your family. So that's why at the start of the game, you're in the moving truck, right? You and your mom are moving to Hoenn to join your dad, who got a new job in Hoenn, actually. So that's sort of the backstory there, which is cool. An interesting sort of introduction. And then Norman, he's sort of got a bit of a puzzle that he has you solve half-ish way through the game. It's pretty cool. There's a bunch of rooms, right? And I don't know if I'd call it a puzzle necessarily, because no matter what way you go, you will get to the end. But it's sort of it's pick a pipe a la Mario Maker, right? You pick a door, and there's something waiting for you on the other side of the door. Ooh, what could it be? It's usually a trainer, and then you go to the next door. And it's just interesting. It's a cool little puzzle they threw into the game. I don't know why they threw it in, but they did. So that's pretty neat. So between the two of them, listen, I'm a sucker for backstory. It gives us a good reason for being in Hoenn. I'm gonna give it to Norman. Actually, no, I think I might give it to No, I'm gonna give it to Norman. And our last quarterfinal matchup, Norman versus Norman. Like I said, Norman, I don't really know anything about Norman, really. I don't know anything at all. He just seems kind of like a boring character, honestly. I don't know why they even gave you a dad in the game. He just doesn't really, he's just kind of there. He doesn't really do much. But then Norman, on the other hand, he plays a very pivotal role. He actually is the one who gives you the ability to surf, which is really cool and super important for Hoenn, because Hoenn's got a lot of water in it. So you can't really get around late game sort of areas without having a Pokemon that can surf. So being able to surf, super important. So super pivotal to the story in that regard. So I'm gonna have to give it to him. Okay, now things start to get a little bit tougher here. Into our semifinals matchups. Norman versus Norman. The one who helps out Wally versus the gym leader. This one's really tough. This one's actually really tough for me. I kind of relate to the gym leader one because, so my dad was actually, and is actually, he still is, the wrestling coach for the high school where I went. So I can kind of, in a way, relate to this being in a similar sense to like wrestler coach father-son relationship. We've got gym leader trainer father-son relationship, which it's kind of similar. So I relate to, I guess I kind of relate to Norman in that way. This is tough. This is a really tough one. I do have to say, Norman helping out Wally, that's a really cool thing and ends up being very significant in that Wally does become your rival over the course of the game. A friendly rival, but your rival nonetheless. But it relates too much. I'm gonna pick Norman. Probably a controversial choice, but I'm gonna pick Norman. And on our other side, Norman versus Norman. We have Norman from Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. Sort of a secret kind of character. Turns out he is your dad, right? And the lore of, like, that he tells you about him moving to Hoenn before you, because he got a new job. It's never really explained what that job is, which is kind of intriguing, honestly. He's a very mysterious sort of character. But I do, like I said, I enjoy having that sort of backstory as to why you are in Hoenn. And then, of course, Norman, the one who ends up giving you the ability to surf. Extremely important to Hoenn, like I said. Region that's basically 50% water, so being able to surf is extremely vital. I said it before, I'll say it again. I'm a sucker for backstory. I'm gonna give this one to Norman. And here we have it. Our final PokeDad matchup. Norman versus Norman. One of them probably a bit of a surprise. I don't think as many people would expect Norman to be here instead of Norman. I think this one's probably what most people would pick. I think most people would end up going Norman on this side. But definitely two titans, two fatherly titans. But among these two titans, who is the titanist of them? I think I've said my piece on both of them already. There's not really much more I can think of about either of their characters. Probably a controversial decision, but I think I'm gonna go with Gym Leader Norman. Because once again, it's just something I can personally relate to more than the backstory and moving to an entirely new place. That's not something I've personally had to go through or experience. So I just don't relate to it as much. Norman, you're a great character and a great dad, but I gotta go with Norman on this one. Well, there we have it, folks. What a way to cap off Poke March Madness Season 3. And once again, as always, check out Reese and Jacob? I'm Jacob. Check out Reese and Josh, who are doing these brackets as well. And as well, if you want to fill out any of the brackets that we've done this year for yourself, or even the brackets from last year, you can go ahead and check the link in the description. It'll have all those brackets because they were all made by me. And if you want to go ahead and share any of those brackets or opinions with me, feel free to do so, either in the comments, on Twitter, in Josh's Discord. Links to all that in the description. And with that, we are done. March Madness Season 3 coming to a close. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this season as much as I did. And I will see you next time with a video that isn't March Madness. So see you then.